I like to do video walkthrough and case studies of certain projects I've worked on that are unusual and can help to give you a better idea of some of the more off-track things that WordPress can do. So today I'm going to look at this site called Qiological. I always pronounce that wrongly. I think it's meant to be pronounced Qiological. And it's run by a long-time client of mine, Michael Max. Michael is a Chinese medicine practitioner. He does acupuncture, herbal remedies, that kind of thing. And he created this second site, which is a podcast for practitioners of Chinese medicine. So they get together with his podcast guests and they talk about a wide variety of topics on Chinese medicine. So he has one podcast that is free and you can subscribe to that in a normal way. But then he also set up a members only section of the site called the Qiologicians, where people can log in and gain access to a members only podcast. In the past, he tried to use Patreon to do this. So he'd send his podcast subscribers off to Patreon where they'd subscribe and they would get access to that additional content. The problem was he found that people weren't that happy to leave his site and subscribe to Patreon and didn't really understand the disconnect between Qiological and that Patreon website. So he came to me and asked, is there a way we could keep this all on one site? So what I recommended was we set up a WooCommerce site, not to sell products, but to sell memberships to his Qiologicians area. And we used WooCommerce, we used the membership extension, and we used the subscription extension as well. So if we click on Qiologicians, you can see he's got a number of different memberships. He's got a $5 monthly membership and a $60 yearly membership. So if we scroll down, we can see we've got this members only content. That's all marked as restricted. So if we click through to this further discussions podcast, you can see that it's restricted. The other unusual thing about this site is he wanted to offer his podcast on the normal podcast players. So if you've got an iPhone, you know there's a podcast app, or you could use Stitcher or any of those other podcast apps on your phone so you can listen to your podcasts on the go. He wanted those subscriptions to be password protected as well. So when you launch the podcast on your iPhone, for example, the first time you do that, it asks you to log in with your user ID and password. So that's what we've done. Let's log in and I'll show you what the back end looks like. So I'm logged into the back end of the site now, and the first thing we'll look at are the products that were set up in WooCommerce. So for example, this monthly recurring subscription, let's have a look at that. So let's look at how he set this product up. So he set it up as a simple subscription, and the subscription is paid every month. He's created a very similar product, which is a simple subscription and is annual as well. And when somebody buys this product, they're granted access to a membership as well. So you can see when they buy this product, they're granted access to the Qiologician content. So let's have a look how the membership and the subscriptions are set up. I've done a small cut there, so we can go have a look at the membership plans, because by default it opens up the members tab, and frankly that's nothing to do with you. That's Michael's clients. So you can see we've set up 3 memberships. There's one free sort of manual one where Michael can assign membership to people if he wants to give away free membership, and then we've got a yearly subscription and the normal monthly one. These are both linked to the WooCommerce products, and then they get access to that content. The other piece of the puzzle is how the podcast is distributed. We've got another plugin called PowerPress, and we've activated the podcasting channel part of that. So I created this new channel called Cheerlogicians. Now if we edit that, and under other settings, we have this checkbox where the content is protected, so it says that people have to log in. And what I've done, some clever jiggery pokery, so the customer user role, which people are assigned to when they buy a product in WooCommerce, I've added the capability of premium content. So that means anybody who's bought the product can access this password protected Cheerlogicians. I cannot say that word. Cheerlogicians podcast. So let me log out and I'll go to the feed and you can see what it looks like. So switch browser where I'm not logged on. And as you can see, it's prompted me for user ID and password. And it's trying to open up the XML file. So what I'll do is I'll cut in a video of me accessing the feed URL via my podcasting app on my phone. So this is a recording from my iPhone. I'm opening up my podcast app. And I'm going to my shows section and I'm going to add a new podcast by URL. I cut and paste the protected URL into the podcast player. It goes off and thinks about it, and then it returns a username and password for me to log in. So, little cut here. So I've typed in most of my passwords so you can't hack me. So it goes off, thinks I'm successfully subscribed. Now if I go back to my list of shows that are available to me, scroll down, keep going a bit further. There we go, Cheerlogicians. So that's Cheerlogical, and it's user protected or user ID and password protected podcasts. If that's of interest to you, please get in touch and we can talk about setting up your own password protected podcast.